There are moments in life when you feel uneasy about a person, a constant discomfort that refuses to go away. That feeling is not random. It may very well be a sign from Allah, a warning to protect you from harm. Allah, out of His mercy, sometimes places a barrier between you and certain people because they are not meant to stay in your life. When you notice that someone constantly lies, disrespects your values, mocks your faith, or encourages you towards sin, pause and reflect. These are not just bad habits, they are red flags. Allah does not want you to lose your peace or compromise your faith for the sake of someone who does not value you. There are moments in life when your heart feels uneasy about a person, even when everything looks fine on the surface. You can't explain it to anyone, and you might even doubt yourself, wondering why you feel this way. That discomfort, that inner restlessness, is often more than just a random thought. It is Allah, out of His love and mercy for you, giving you a warning. He is placing a signal in your heart to protect you before harm reaches you. The problem is that most of us are so busy trying to make relationships work, trying to please people, trying to keep them close to us, that we ignore these warnings. We convince ourselves that we are overthinking. We make excuses for their behavior. We tell ourselves that things will change. But the truth is, Allah shows us signs repeatedly, and when we choose to ignore them, we end up facing pain that could have been avoided. Think back to a time in your life when you had a strong feeling that someone was not good for you, but you ignored it. Maybe you saw them lie, but you forgave them. Maybe you felt disrespected, but you stayed silent. Maybe you noticed how they mocked your values, but you laughed it off just to keep the peace. Then later, when the situation became unbearable, you looked back and realized the signs were there all along. Allah had been warning you, but you were too afraid to lose that person. We humans are sometimes so scared of being alone that we would rather stay in harmful relationships than face the pain of letting go. But ignoring divine warnings doesn't save us from pain. It only delays it and makes it much worse. When Allah places discomfort in your heart, it is not random. That feeling is a form of protection. It is a shield to prevent you from walking into something that will break you. Sometimes He shows you the truth about a person through their actions. Repeated lies, broken promises, constant disrespect. Other times He simply makes your heart feel heavy every time you are around them. That heaviness is not to make your life miserable, but to wake you up. If you continue to ignore that heaviness, it eventually turns into pain, heartbreak, and regret. There is a deeper wisdom here. Allah sees everything. Their thoughts, their intentions, their plans, even the words they speak behind your back. You only see what they allow you to see. That is why Allah intervenes. He closes doors, He creates distance. He makes things difficult because He knows if you continue down this path, it will harm your faith, your peace, and your future. And when you fight against these divine signs, when you force relationships that Allah is trying to end, you are essentially choosing your own heartbreak. Many of us confuse patience with tolerating harm. Patience does not mean staying in a situation that is clearly damaging your heart and your soul. Patience means trusting that Allah has something better planned for you, even if you cannot see it yet. It means believing that if He is showing you signs about someone, He is doing it for your benefit. Holding on to someone who is leading you away from Allah, away from peace, away from self-respect is not patience, it is self-destruction. Sometimes Allah's warnings come in the form of repeated failures. Every time you try to make things work with that person, something goes wrong. You argue, you fight, you cry, you break up, you get back together, and the cycle repeats. This is not coincidence. It is Allah showing you that this path is not for you. Yet, many people stay trapped in this cycle because they think their love or effort will fix everything. But love alone is not enough when it is with the wrong person. The right person will not constantly make you feel like you are losing yourself just to keep them happy. If you feel a deep inner conflict every time you think about someone, if you are constantly forced to choose between your peace and that person, then you need to pause. Ask yourself, is this relationship making me a better believer? Is it making me closer to Allah? Or is it slowly destroying my faith? If the answer is that it is weakening you spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, then that is the biggest warning sign you can get. Allah does not want you to sacrifice your peace for someone who is not meant to be in your life. The pain of walking away is temporary, but the pain of staying where you are not meant to be can last a lifetime. Trust that Allah's plan is always better. When He warns you about someone, He is trying to protect you from nights of tears, from betrayal you cannot yet see, from harm that could break you completely. If you could see the things Allah sees, you would fall into prostration thanking Him for every person He removed from your life, for every door He closed, for every connection He ended. So, listen carefully to the whispers of your heart when they are consistent and when they align with what is right. Do not let your emotions blind you to the truth. Turn to Allah in prayer, ask Him for clarity, and trust that His guidance will never mislead you. The sooner you act on these divine warnings, the sooner you will find peace, clarity, and the strength to move forward. Toxic relationships are among the most dangerous tests a person can face because they do not just harm your emotions. They affect your mind, your faith, and your entire life. At first, you may not even recognize that a relationship is toxic. It often begins subtly. The person might charm you, make you feel seen, and give you attention you may have been longing for. Slowly, however, the same person begins to chip away at your peace. They may use words that belittle you, make you doubt yourself, or make you feel guilty for things that are not your fault. They may manipulate your emotions, using kindness when they want something from you and harshness when you stand up for yourself. You start feeling confused, constantly second-guessing your decisions, wondering whether you are overreacting. This is the silent destruction that toxic relationships bring. They damage your clarity and make you feel trapped. The greatest danger of staying in such relationships is the impact they have on your spiritual health. When someone constantly drains your energy, fills your life with negativity, or encourages you to disobey Allah, your heart becomes weaker. You begin to lose focus in your prayers, your remembrance of Allah decreases, and you start compromising your values just to keep that person happy. You might find yourself lying to cover up their mistakes, participating in things you know are wrong, or staying silent when you should speak up. This is exactly why such relationships are dangerous. They do not just harm your mental health, they put your connection with Allah at risk. A toxic person thrives on control. They often want you to depend on them emotionally, financially, or mentally so that leaving them feels impossible. This control traps you in a cycle of pain. One day they treat you kindly and give you hope, and the next day they crush that hope by disrespecting you again. This cycle creates emotional addiction. You wait for the good days to come back, and you keep forgiving them because you fear losing the little bit of love they give you. But love that constantly breaks you is not love. It is a test that you are failing. Staying around people who constantly hurt you can also affect how you see yourself. You may start believing that you are not worthy of respect, that you deserve this treatment, or that you will never find better. This is one of the biggest lies, that toxic relationships make you believe that you must settle for pain because leaving is too hard. But Allah did not create you to live in misery. He did not bring you into this world so that you could be humiliated and broken every day. He has given you dignity and worth, and He commands you to protect your heart and your faith. Another way toxic relationships impact you is by isolating you from the people who truly care about you. A harmful person may try to cut you off from your family or friends, making you believe they are the only one who understands you. This isolation deepens their control over you, and you find yourself with no one to turn to when you are in pain. This is exactly where Shaitan wants you, alone, doubting yourself and too scared to seek help. It becomes easier for him to whisper hopelessness into your heart, making you feel like there is no way out. But there is always a way out. Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, and He always provides a way for those who turn back to Him. The first step is recognizing that the relationship is harming you. You must acknowledge that your peace, your faith, and your future are worth protecting, even if it means walking away from someone you care about. This is not weakness. This is strength. It takes courage to choose your well, being over emotional attachment. Leaving a toxic relationship is painful, but staying in one is far more damaging. It eats away at your self-esteem, fills you with anger, and leaves you bitter. When you finally walk away, you will feel a deep sense of relief, as if a heavy weight has been lifted from your chest. You will begin to heal, and you will realize that life is too short to waste on people who destroy your spirit. Allah promises that when you sacrifice something for His sake, He replaces it with something better. This includes relationships. When you let go of the wrong person, Allah may send you someone who respects you, values you, and helps you grow closer to Him. Or He may give you strength, independence, and inner peace so that you do not feel empty without another person. Either way, you will realize that protecting your heart and your faith was the best decision you could make. Toxic relationships are not just a test of patience. They are a test of faith. Will you keep holding on even though it is harming you? Or will you trust Allah enough to walk away? The pain of leaving is temporary, but the pain of staying can destroy you piece by piece. If Allah is showing you warning signs, if your heart feels heavy and your soul feels distant from Him, take that as a message to protect yourself. Your mental peace, your dignity, and your relationship with Allah are worth far more than any bond that is pulling you away from Him. Spiritual awareness is one of the greatest shields a believer can have in life. It is like a light that allows you to see clearly when others are walking in darkness. Without it, you may find yourself lost, confused, and vulnerable to people who do not have good intentions for you. When your connection with Allah is weak, you rely too much on what you can see with your eyes, forgetting that the most dangerous harm is often hidden. This is why building spiritual awareness is so important. It gives you the ability to sense what your eyes cannot yet see, and to recognize when something or someone is leading you away from the right path. A heart that remembers Allah regularly becomes sharp, almost like a compass that points you in the right direction. The more you engage in prayer, da'h, and reflection, the more sensitive your heart becomes to divine guidance. You start noticing small things, a word that doesn't sit right with you, an action that seems disrespectful, a pattern of behavior that feels off. These are not just random observations, they are insights given to you because your heart is alive with faith. When you are spiritually aware, you do not ignore these insights, you pause, you seek clarity, and you ask Allah for guidance before taking the next step. On the other hand, when your spiritual awareness is weak, you can easily fall into traps. You might meet someone who says all the right things, but their actions slowly lead you into sin. You may not even notice it at first. You just feel a little less motivated to pray. You compromise a little on your values, you start to justify things you once knew were wrong. This is how Shaitan works, slowly, step by step, pulling you away from Allah until you are so far that you no longer recognize yourself. If your heart is disconnected from its creator, you might mistake this person for a blessing, when in reality they are a test. Spiritual awareness is not just about avoiding harm. It is about staying strong when you are tested. There will be times when walking away from someone feels painful, even impossible. In those moments, your awareness of Allah's presence is what keeps you firm. You remind yourself that Allah sees your pain, that He knows what you are sacrificing, and that He will reward you for choosing Him over your desires. This kind of awareness is what gives you the courage to do the hard things, to say no when everyone else expects you to say yes, to choose your faith even when it costs you a relationship, to trust Allah's plan even when it breaks your heart. One of the most beautiful things about spiritual awareness is that it turns ordinary moments into lessons. You begin to notice how Allah is guiding you through events in your life. Perhaps you overhear a conversation that reminds you to be cautious, or you read a verse in the Quran that feels like it was meant just for you. These are not coincidences. They are signs that Allah is speaking to you, guiding you, and reminding you to stay awake spiritually. The more you act on these reminders, the stronger your connection becomes, and the easier it is to recognize when someone is not meant for you. Many people only wake up spiritually after they have been hurt. They look back and realize there were so many warnings they ignored. They remember the uneasy feeling, the arguments, the red flags, but at the time, they were too distracted to pay attention. This is why it is so important to nurture your spiritual state before you are tested. If your heart is already connected to Allah, you will be more likely to recognize the warning signs early, before the damage is done. Spiritual awareness also brings peace. When you know that Allah is guiding you, you no longer feel desperate to force things to work. You no longer beg for people to stay who are clearly not good for you. You learn to say, if this is good for me, Allah will keep it. If it is not, He will remove it, and I will trust His decision. This mindset saves you from so much unnecessary pain. Instead of clinging to what harms you, you allow Allah to replace it with something better. The world is full of distractions, temptations, and people who can pull you off the path without you even realizing it. Without spiritual awareness, you are like a traveler walking in the dark without a light. You may stumble, get lost, or end up in dangerous places. But with spiritual awareness, you are guided by a light that comes from Allah Himself. You are able to see the traps before you step into them, and you are able to walk away from harm even when it feels difficult. To build this awareness, you must take care of your heart. Pray consistently, read and reflect on the Quran, make dua for clarity, and ask Allah to purify your intentions. The more you feed your soul, the more alert it becomes. And when Allah warns you about someone, your heart will recognize the warning instantly, giving you the strength to act on it before it is too late. Recognizing red flags early is one of the most powerful skills you can develop if you want to protect your heart, your peace, and your faith. So many people end up shattered not because they were never warned, but because they saw the signs and ignored them. The truth is that Allah, in His mercy, rarely lets a person get hurt without first giving them some form of guidance. There are always clues, small, sometimes subtle indications that something is wrong. The problem is that we often silence these warnings because we are afraid of the truth. We want things to work out so badly that we blind ourselves to reality. But the earlier you notice these red flags, the sooner you can protect yourself from long-term pain. One of the first red flags to pay attention to is dishonesty. If a person lies about small things, it is only a matter of time before they lie about bigger things. Someone who twists the truth or hides important details is showing you that they cannot be trusted. Many people ignore this because they tell themselves everyone makes mistakes. But repeated lies are not just mistakes, they are patterns. Another red flag is constant disrespect. This could be in the way they speak to you, dismiss your feelings, or belittle your dreams and values. A person who truly cares about you will not humiliate you, especially not in front of others. If you find yourself repeatedly justifying their rude behavior, telling yourself that's just how they are, it is time to pause. Another sign is when someone consistently encourages you to do things you know are wrong. If being around them makes you skip your prayers, compromise your modesty, or ignore your morals, that is a sign they are pulling you away from the path Allah wants for you. The right people in your life will remind you of Allah and help you grow spiritually, not take you further away from Him. If you find that your heart feels heavy, guilty, or distant from your faith after spending time with someone, do not ignore this. Your heart is telling you that this connection is harming your soul. A very common red flag is when a person keeps breaking promises. They say they will change but never do. They apologize but repeat the same behavior over and over. They make you feel hopeful only to disappoint you again. This cycle is emotionally exhausting, and it keeps you stuck because you keep waiting for the day they finally become who you need them to be. But remember, actions speak louder than words. If a person's actions are showing you who they really are, believe them. Do not get stuck holding on to someone's potential while they repeatedly hurt you in the present. Pay attention also to how you feel about yourself when you are around them. If you constantly feel anxious, unworthy, or drained, that is not love. That is emotional harm. Healthy relationships bring peace even during difficult moments. If every interaction feels like a battlefield where you have to defend yourself, explain yourself or beg to be understood, that is not a safe space for your heart. Allah does not want you to lose your sense of self just to keep someone else happy. Sometimes the biggest red flag is the one we try hardest to ignore. Our own inner discomfort, that sinking feeling in your stomach, that uneasiness you feel in your chest, that constant whisper telling you something is off, that is not random. It is often Allah's way of telling you to be cautious. When you suppress that voice, you are suppressing divine guidance. Learn to trust it. Take time to step back, reflect, and pray for clarity. If the feeling persists even after sincere dua and reflection, consider it a sign that you need to distance yourself. Recognizing red flags early saves you from deeper heartbreak. The longer you stay, the more attached you become, and the harder it is to walk away later. That is why Allah shows you the truth early, to protect you before you get trapped. The challenge is having the courage to act on these warnings. It is not easy to cut ties with someone you care about, but protecting your heart and your faith must always come first. Every time you ignore a red flag, you are teaching that person how to treat you. You are telling them that their behavior is acceptable and they will keep repeating it. The moment you notice consistent patterns of harm, speak up, set boundaries, and if nothing changes, walk away. Trust that Allah will replace what you lose with something better. He never asks you to let go of something harmful without preparing something healthier for you in the future. When you learn to recognize red flags early and respect them, you save yourself years of pain. You will be able to protect your dignity, maintain your faith, and create space for the right people to enter your life. Remember, your heart is a trust from Allah. Do not hand it over to someone who is showing you through words and actions that they do not know how to care for it. Trusting Allah's protection is one of the most liberating and faith-strengthening decisions a believer can make. It means fully believing that whatever happens in your life, whoever comes, whoever leaves, whatever ends, is part of Allah's plan to protect you, guide you, and lead you towards something better. The problem is that many of us only trust Allah when things go the way we want. The moment something painful happens, like losing a relationship we thought was good for us, we begin to question His plan. We cry, we beg, we ask, why did this happen? Why did Allah take this person away from me? What we often fail to see in those moments is that this separation could be one of the biggest blessings of our lives. When Allah removes someone from your life, it is never without reason. Sometimes that person was harmful in ways you could not see. Sometimes they were holding you back from growth, distracting you from your faith, or keeping you away from the opportunities Allah had planned for you. If you could see what Allah sees, their heart, their intentions, their future actions, you would understand exactly why He took them out of your path. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What feels like loss is often protection. It takes deep faith to say Alhamdulillah when something you love is taken away. Your heart might feel heavy, your tears may fall, but that is when you must remind yourself that Allah's plan is perfect even when it hurts. There are so many people who later look back and realize that the person they once cried for was not good for them at all. They thank Allah for saving them, for closing doors they were desperate to keep open. This is the beauty of trusting Allah. You do not need to see the full picture to believe that He is guiding you toward what is best. Trusting Allah's protection also means not running back to what He has already removed. When a door closes, we often try to force it open. We send one more message, we beg for one more chance, we compromise our dignity to make them stay. But if Allah has taken them out of your life, bringing them back might bring more harm than good. Sometimes the pain you feel now is far smaller than the pain you would feel later if you kept holding on. Letting go becomes an act of worship when you do it for the sake of Allah, trusting that He knows what you cannot see. There is also a hidden mercy in unanswered prayers. How many times have you asked Allah to give you something, and when you didn't get it, you were heartbroken, only to later discover that what you wanted would have hurt you deeply? The same applies to relationships. You might ask Allah to keep a certain person in your life, to make them love you, to fix things between you. And when it doesn't happen, you feel abandoned. But unanswered prayers are not rejection, they are protection. Allah is saying, I have something better for you, just wait. Or trusting Allah's protection requires patience. It means waiting without complaining, even when your heart aches. It means believing that Allah will replace what was lost with something that will bring you closer to Him. This replacement might not always be another person. Sometimes it is inner peace, personal growth, stronger faith, or a clearer mind. But whatever He gives you will be exactly what you need. When you place your trust fully in Allah, you stop living in fear. You stop fearing loneliness because you know Allah is always with you. You stop fearing betrayal because you know Allah sees everything and will protect you from those who wish you harm. You stop fearing the future because you know that whatever is meant for you will reach you, and whatever is harmful will be kept away, no matter how much you wanted it. This trust gives you strength. It allows you to walk away from harmful situations with dignity, knowing that Allah will not leave you empty-handed. Sometimes the greatest protection Allah gives you is pain. Yes, pain can be a form of mercy because it forces you to move. If staying in a situation would destroy you, Allah will make it so uncomfortable that you have no choice but to leave. At first, you may resent this pain, but later you will see that it saved you. This is why we must train our hearts to surrender, to stop fighting Allah's plan and start flowing with it. The one who trusts Allah deeply is never truly broken, because they know every loss carries hidden wisdom. So when Allah warns you about someone or removes them from your life completely, let your heart find comfort in knowing that He is protecting you. Say to yourself, if this was good for me, Allah would have kept it. If it is gone, then there must be something better ahead. Live with this mindset, and you will find peace even in the most painful goodbyes. The people you allow into your life are among the most influential forces shaping your future, your character, and even your connection with Allah. This is why choosing the right people for your circle is not just a social decision, it is a spiritual responsibility. The Prophet taught us that a person is upon the religion of his closest friend, meaning the people you spend time with will inevitably affect your faith, your mindset, and your habits. If your circle is full of people who drag you towards sin, negativity, and laziness, you will eventually become like them. If your circle is full of those who remind you of Allah, encourage you to do good, and uplift you, you will find yourself becoming stronger, more focused, and more at peace. Choosing the right people means being intentional about who gets access to your heart, your time, and your energy. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. Some people may be fun to be around, but they leave your soul feeling empty. Others may be charming with their words, but their actions slowly pull you away from what is right. You must look beyond temporary feelings and ask yourself, does this person help me become a better version of myself? Or do they distract me from my purpose? The answer to this question will tell you whether they belong in your inner circle. It is not always easy to choose wisely because emotions can blind you. Sometimes the people you love most are the ones hurting you the most. Sometimes they are family members, long-time friends, or people you have invested years of your life into. Letting go feels impossible, and you keep telling yourself things will get better. But you must remember that loving someone does not mean allowing them to destroy you. You can love someone and still set boundaries. You can pray for them and still protect yourself. Choosing the right people does not mean being harsh. It means being wise about who has influence over your heart. When you surround yourself with righteous, positive people, you will notice a difference in your life. Your conversations change. Instead of gossiping, you talk about meaningful things. Instead of wasting time, you inspire each other to grow. When you feel weak, they remind you to turn back to Allah. When you're tempted to give up, they push you forward. This is the power of a good circle. They lift you up when you fall, and they make you ashamed of sin, not proud of it. On the other hand, if your circle is toxic, it becomes much harder to stay firm. You may want to change, but you are constantly surrounded by people who encourage you to stay the same. You may want to pray more, but they distract you. You may want to work hard, but they encourage you to waste time. Little by little, you begin to adopt their habits until you look in the mirror one day and realize you have lost yourself. This is why choosing the right people is not just about comfort, it is about survival. Choosing wisely also means being honest with yourself about what you bring into other people's lives. Are you the kind of person who uplifts others, or do you pull them down? The right circle is built when everyone within it is committed to helping each other grow. Be the friend who encourages, who reminds others of Allah, who brings hope when times are dark. The more you embody these qualities, the more you will attract people with the same qualities into your life. Sometimes Allah will help you choose by naturally removing certain people from your life. They may distance themselves, stop communicating, or disappear altogether. At first, this might hurt, but later you will see that this was Allah's way of protecting you from an influence that would have harmed you. Rather than chasing after those who leave, use that space to invite better people into your life. People who will inspire you, challenge you, and keep you on the straight path. You deserve to have people around you who value your presence, respect your boundaries, and push you toward goodness. Do not settle for less. It is better to have a small circle of sincere, righteous companions than a large circle of people who harm your soul. Quality matters more than quantity. Even if you have just one person who reminds you of Allah sincerely, that is a treasure. And if you feel like you have no one, use that time to strengthen your connection with Allah. He will send you the right people at the right time. Choosing the right people is ultimately an act of worship. You are choosing to honor the trust Allah placed in you by protecting your heart and keeping your faith safe. Life is too short to waste with those who drain you or lead you toward destruction. Surround yourself with those who make you better, and you will see how much lighter, calmer, and more focused your life becomes.